trying to think if that compressor's going to shut in the next like 30 seconds. Probably will. The compressor will probably go. When is that fucking compressor going to stop? It's got a tank this big. I'm just going to go flick it. I bet it stops before I get there. Yeah, compressors. Today's project, these cabinet doors at Carolla Digital over our kitchenette have been driving me insane for a long time. They're all wanky. They're all yoked out. Everything's a mess. They have Euro hinges. These are MDF doors. These are what you call slabs. It's not a raised panel or anything. It's just cheap MDF slab door. They're too tight, and the hinge holes are all yoked out and need to be repaired because there's no bite when you put a wood screw in them. So today, I'm hopefully gonna run one of these doors through a table saw and take about 3/16 off because they're all hitting here. The math isn't really working out. This thing's never gonna be perfect, and I don't care if it's perfect because I don't live here, but I'd like it to function and close cleanly and not get caught up. And so I'm gonna pop the door. Now, these are Euro hinges, and they're probably Blum or Bloom, however they pronounce them. And there's an actual screwdriver you should be using, but I don't have one. I have this, but I will say that, like, when you adjust this stuff, you should do it by hand. This is like too much, too fast. And this, by the way, has a keyless chuck, which I feel would be the best name for a homeless guy. It's keyless chuck. Nice. He's not gonna harm anybody. I mean, he likes the girls, but keyless is a good dude. He's fine. I gave him some Taco Bell last week. He was cool. All right, so I'm gonna take this thing off. All right, that's that. And then I'm gonna do that. Okay, so there's my Euro hinges. As you can see, it's a disaster. This is okay. This is sloppy and probably yoked out. I don't know that I can tighten these, but I'll try. And like I said, I really shouldn't be using a screw gun for this because, see, this one's spinning out. So there's no bite in this one. So we're gonna have an issue here. This is just MDF. It's essentially cardboard, and the hole's yoked out and the screw's spinning, and you have to use, a small wood screw for it. So this is a disaster, but I'm gonna take toothpicks and I'm gonna put glue on them, and I'm gonna shove them into this hole and let them dry, and then we'll have something to give us some bite. This wood glue probably has been open in 7 years. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna drip some wood glue in the hole, and I'm gonna push some wood glue down there, and then I'm gonna bust a popsicle stick off in it, or I should say bust a toothpick off in it, and then when it dries, I'll chisel it off. I don't get the flat toothpick. Why do they make the flat toothpick? It's so unsatisfying. It's like, how cheap do you have to be to do a flat toothpick? People buy them. They're horrible. And you can't do that thing with a flat toothpick where, like, when you're thinking and you're doing this, it's like kunk, kunk. I almost knocked myself over once. I wrenched on a flat one too hard, and it was in a tight crack, and I was like thinking, I was like at a poker game, and I was like, let me think about this, and I turned it, my feet came flying up, I went right over the back of the poker table. Hand to God. All right, so I want to wedge this in here. Then I'm going to be using this more because I think some of these holes are yoked out as well. See, that thing's just turning. It's also really important to have an array of ceramic mugs wherever, whenever you're doing work, getting tools out, safety's always an issue. Is you always want just a crap load of ceramic mugs in the work area, okay? Some guys try to cut corners. Some guys will work on cabinets without mugs. I tried it when I was young. Foreman walked in on me. It was a bad scene. He was like, hey, bro. I was like, what? There were no mugs. So I learned my lesson, and I only work on cabinets with tons and tons of mugs. As a matter of fact, I usually like a few more mugs, but this is good enough. All right, so these holes need to be filled as well. These ones are pretty big. You can use a wood shim. So shims used for hanging doors probably, and wedging things like that. You can also take a piece of 1x and essentially make a wedge with a utility knife. Something a little hardier than a toothpick. And I would slather on some wood glue and take this little wedge I made. Again, it's gotta give the screw something to bite on when it goes back in there. The bottom looks like it could use a little help as well. A little handmade wedge. I'll just take a wet cloth and clean up all my glue when the time is right. All right, so got that stuff in there. This one seems stout, but kind of weird. I don't know. There's a spacer. Somebody used a little piece of cardboard there to kind of space it out. These are all sort of the wrong screws. This is another yoked out situation. So I would make another wedge and try to use a utility knife just to get a chunk of it off here. Maybe this and a toothpick. I mean, that is. So I'll get my glue, wood glue on there, blow it out, get my toothpicks up in there, maybe even room for a third. Oh, great. Flat. It's a flat toothpick. It's a flat toothpick. I got 750 of them in a box. Almost zero resale value. It's going to be worthless. I mean, maybe I can use its flatness to my advantage. Try to wedge it in that hole there. All right. So I'm going to take my trusty utility knife. See if I can make another wedge. Shove this wedge in this hole. Oh man, that's taking up a lot of space. Maybe just enough room for another worthless flat toothpick. Let's see. I think when this stuff all dries, you would want to take a bit and drill a pilot hole in it. I think you want to try to get a pilot hole versus just shoving the screw back in. All right, that's all in there. All right, so I got my yoked out holes. Good. I'm going to take a little warm water and clean up my mess. The wood glues, I mean, you can clean up with warm water and a rag. Normally, it's not that big a deal. So now, I've got to take the handle off. All right, so that'll be handle gone. Now, let's go out to the table saw. Take my tape measure with me. All right, here's a table saw. You want to make sure the blade is up at 90 degrees. Sometimes it gets a little that way, so that's a good thing to check. Also want to make sure the height of the blade's pretty good. I mean, I just put it a little above the height of the surface it's cutting. Always like unplug the tool when you're switching blades or putting stuff up on it. All right, so this thing was 14 and a long 3/4. So I'd like it to be 14 and a half plus. So when you're using a table saw, you want to measure the front of the blade. And this thing is 14 and a half plus, but you also want to measure the back of the blade because the fence can be turned, and if the fence is this way and it's less in the back, it'll pinch, and when it pinches, it can bind, and so that's bad. But this is the same in the front and in the back, so this is good. All right, I'm going to ask for my assistant Chuck to come over here. Now, Chuck, I don't want this MDF blowing all over me. So when I fire it up and I start pushing it through, you just blow it out that way.
Got it, boss.
You got it? I'm turning the compressor on. Don't waste it. That's right. Yeah, okay, so when you're using a guy to help you, it's kind of like when you give an assist or spot at the gym, you know, like you can't be pulling the bar, but don't let it go down, but don't do this, because then if you do this, it binds, you know, so it's like you just put your hands under it and you just kind of do this, like you're trying to pet a cat. So I'm gonna let the glue set up in the sun. All right, the glue may be dry enough for this experiment. Utility knives work pretty good. A lot of people just think it's for scoring drywall or taking down commercial jet airliners. And I'll just use a Phillips head screwdriver to kind of center my drill bit. We put the hinge in place and then made a little punch. Now I'm gonna drill a pilot hole because you don't wanna just go bare into this. I made my pilot hole, I got my screw, we filled it with our stuff, and now I'm gonna go even a little step further and I'm gonna put some wood glue on the threads. Not something everyone does. It'll help, it'll just help, is what I'm saying. All right, so that got good bite. You could see some of the glue come up around it. So everything in this hole is going to be glued up. I mean, including the old toothpicks and the wood shims and everything I put in there. But again, do not over tighten your screws. These screw guns have a clutch, so you don't spin them out and over tighten them, right? So if I set it to a low setting, like let's say 2, it's probably too light. So you can see the screws are buried. We got the glue pushing up around it. So I mean, it's completely emulsified and it's pretty strong. Now, I just, again, if you spin it out, it's ruined. If you spin it, it's all over. And so you can't do that. So you have to be real careful. But snugging it up by hand will give you the feel for it. This sometimes just has too much torque and it'll rip the thing out. Now, my dad, if he was still around, would be yelling, "Son, you let that glue set up overnight. Oh no, wait, he didn't know shit. But I should let it sit overnight in cure. But for the sake of this experiment, I'm not. And we got our top sliver here too, which actually cuts out a little easier. So here's the plate for the Euro hinge. The hinge will slide onto it. I'll lock it on with this screw, and then we'll have adjustment from the other screw. I'm going to take this bottom plate, I'm going to put it where we put our stuff before. And remember, you got to have mugs, everybody. I think a power drill might just spin us out here, and I don't want that. All right, I'm going to try to finesse it just a little bit with the power drill. And once again, just tighten by hand at the end. All right, so I'm gonna take the top hinge, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna just kind of put it in the middle. I'm gonna snug it up. Then, so I'm gonna take the bottom, and I'll slide the bottom one in, because this MDF is heavy. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna open this, and I'm gonna mark it as best I can. Okay. Then I'm gonna take that down. Then I'm gonna do my pilot hole where the Sharpie is. I'm gonna put a little more glue on them. Put that through there. Hook up the bottom. Snug that up. Hit my pilot there. I'd say basically it's working out. It's a junker cabinet. It's 30 years old. It's cheap MDF. I mean, I should probably go down to IKEA and just, you know, do away with these and buy some new uppers. But, you know, an hour and a half's work, get another 2 years use out of it, so be it. I gotta adjust the doors. It's boring. It's gonna take a while, but they work. I'm gonna put a piece of tape over it because I want the glue to kind of settle in. So it looks a little gappy, but when I get my screwdriver and everything's set, I think it'll be good. Hope you learned something.